Good. Right, guys. Thank you for attending this free webinar tonight on how to survive Christmas and keep your weight loss on track. Now, I'm running this for you guys tonight just simply because I think a lot of people get stuck in a bit of a rut at this time of year, and they need a bit of guidance on, because everyone wants to stay on track, but it's very hard because obviously there's a lot of temptation in terms of food, etc., etc., around this time, and obviously it's a busy time and people tend to grab certain things that they shouldn't be. So I just wanted to run this tonight just to give you a little bit of guidance, and it's great to have so many of you on here listening in. So thank you very much for that and taking your time to turn up tonight. A few housekeeping rules, guys. Any questions, then please send them straight over to me via the question section on your little panel there. So I will try and answer them as I go along. But also I'll give you time at the end to ask any questions that you want to as well. A few of you just turning up still as well, but we'll get cracking anyway. So to start off with, guys, what I want to just talk to you about, if this is your first webinar, is what the Save My Life program is all about. So we're a specialist company that work with people in the obese and morbidly obese weight range, and we don't typically work with people that have just sort of got a few stones to lose. We very much specialise in helping you guys out that struggle a little bit more with your weight loss. And we provide programs and nutritional training and advice, but above all, accountability and support. That's sort of what we pride ourselves on. And whether you sort of like go for our group program, or whether you just sort of simply searching out for a bit of information, then obviously we're there to help, and the support is there all of the time. We aim to educate, train, and give nutritional advice, as I already said, and we do this through online, group and one-to-one programs, and also special events as well, which I'm going to talk a little bit about at the end of this webinar. But we look at a long-term lifestyle change that people need, rather than putting you on these sort of short-term diets and fad diets that necessarily work for a few weeks and then don't afterwards, and then the weight all goes back on, etc., etc. And we very much promote healthy lifestyle change through good eating and exercise, which is maybe a little bit different to what other people out there, because I mean we give you the stuff all in a structured way. A little bit about myself. I'm an obesity specialist, and I only work with people who are around sort of 25 stone plus now, but obviously I'm heavily involved in all of the Save My Life groups, and that is what we promote. So I'm a fitness coach and nutritional expert, and trained over 100 obese and morbidly obese individuals. Also featured on Fat, the Fight of My Life, which was a TV program on Sky, and trained one of the contributors on there, Darren Meir, who lost 10 stone over the course of 8 months, which I'm sure that all of you will agree is pretty outstanding. Now, in terms of the clients we work with and the results we get, these are a few of my guys which are on the program currently. So Kerry, I mean, she's got 6.5 stone in the last 20 weeks. The lightest she's ever been, but Kerry's always struggled with her food, and especially the emotional side of food as well that is attached to that, and that's something that we also help you guys out with. Sally, again, another one of my clients, 6.5 stone in 6 months, so a bit longer. Obviously, everybody's different in terms of their weight loss and what works for them, and our program is very much personalised in that we tailor your nutrition towards what you need rather than what the majority of people need. And as it said there, after her first month, she lost her first stone, and that drove her forward, obviously, with support from us, and that we give all of our participants. Dennis as well, 3.5 stone in 20 weeks, so another good a good loss there. Diagnosed diabetic for 2 years, so we do work with people who have other chronic diseases and conditions as well. But as you can see there, he's now off his medication after 3 months. Sugar levels restored, high cholesterol now down to normal. And obviously, as part of this, all the people on this program work on their fitness as well, and that's something that is also important. Okay, guys, just had a note come through from Joe. Can everyone just raise their hand if you can hear me properly again? I just want to do a quick sound check. Yeah, cool. That's better. Okay, cool. Good stuff, Joe. Good. Make sure you all can hear me. So tonight, what are we going to go through? Obviously, you guys have seen the promotion and stuff on Facebook, etc., etc. And what I want to talk to you about Tonight is how you can have a guilt-free Christmas. Christmas is something that you shouldn't be scared of. A lot of people tend to get in a big fluff about it, and that they're going to put on weight over Christmas and stuff. It doesn't have to be that way, and I'm obviously going to talk you through that tonight and give you the pointers and the answers that you need in terms of what foods you should be eating, what foods you should be avoiding, but at the same time enjoying yourself, because at the end of the day, it only comes around once a year, and everybody's got to live. You don't ever deprive yourself of anything, and it's all about just making better choices if you can with your food and what you're doing with yourself over the Christmas period to almost get yourself set up and ready for that big push in the new year, which I know you shouldn't do because everybody does that as a bit of a fad, if you like. But I mean, having the new year come through is a great time to reset and rethink things. And obviously, from that perspective, I'm a big fan of sort of New Year's resolutions, even though obviously you should be doing and taking action now rather than waiting. It's not an excuse to wait. You should be doing little things often now to change. And obviously, I'm going to talk you through those tonight. We're also going to go through some nutritional hints and tips as well that you can use to stay food savvy over this time of year. And I'm going to give you some alternative food ideas and ingredients and especially things around alcohol as well that you can change in order to get away from that Christmas junk and obviously avoid putting on any weight over Christmas, and in fact maybe even lose some weight over Christmas before doing that big drive in the new year, which everyone tends to do. And also I'm going to talk a little bit about what you need to do to get straight back on the weight loss wagon in 2015, but that's going to be something that we are also going to cover in the new year. I'm going to be running a webinar for you guys straight away in the new year, probably the second week in January, just to get you lot fully on track and knowing exactly what you need to do. But we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Okay, so this is your golden rule. Do not try and diet at this time of year. Why not? Because it just does not work. I can guarantee there is so much temptation out there, guys, in terms of food and stuff floating around that it's just going to be too much for you. It's too much for anyone. Like, even myself, I've let myself go the last few weeks. And it's something that's just unavoidable unless you are in a place where you are very, very set on what you want. And obviously, if your diet's immaculate, then it'll be a case that you don't tend to grab for those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, for the normal average person, then it just doesn't work trying to stick to a healthy eating at this time of year. Now, what you need to do is try and keep good rather than bad with your food choices. But don't punish yourself, if you like, for eating bad food this time of year, because it is around, and it is only this time of year generally that tends to be an issue. So in which case, just sort of like chill out about it. Don't stress yourself. So the three things you need to do, especially, live in the now. So when I say this is, you've got to get over this this barrier, which a lot of people have, whereby if they eat something bad in a day, say at the start of the day, then they say, oh, you know what, sod it, and just eat bad for the rest of the day. You've got to live in the now and say, right, okay, at this minute, if I make a better choice, it's going to take me further towards my goal rather than away from it. I know it's something a lot of people struggle to. I've spoken to a few of my clients this week, and they've said, yeah, Toby, but what happens is I grab something bad because I get caught, like, short, or I can't, like, I haven't got time to go and grab stuff and prepare at this time of year because there's just so much going on, so I end up grabbing something, and then I just think, oh, it's all going out the window now, like, I don't need to, I'll start again tomorrow. Now, that's not the idea. You need to start living in the present moment and saying, okay, right, well, I've eaten that bad thing earlier, but now I'm going to choose a healthier choice, because that way little small things are going to build up, and that time, and if you do that, then you're going to stay 80% good and 20% bad, which is the ideal balance that you want. If you stay 80% good with your diet and 20% bad, then that will give you enough leeway there in order to lose weight. Now, if you're looking to just stay the same over Christmas or over this time of year, which is a bonus for most people, then the best thing to do is, even if you've got like a 60-40 split there, guys, then that's what you need to do in order to maintain, really. So just think about when you go to grab something out of the kitchen, or there's something sitting on the side, or you go around a friend's house and they offer you sort of festive food at this time of year, then just think to yourself, okay, well, should I do that or should I not do that? Do I want to do it and do I not want to do it? Is it going to take me further towards or further away from my goal? Like, question yourselves and be conscious about it, and that way you're more likely to make the better decision. But as I say, if you do go for the wrong thing, then don't quit. Then don't sort of like throw it all down the pan just because you change one meal. It's not a problem. It's not that. In all honesty, that one meal isn't going to make a difference to your progress as a whole. You just need to concentrate on the next thing that you're going to have and put in your mouth, because that should then be better. Because if that's better, then it compensates what you had earlier in a way. And that's the sort of mindset you've got to take on this. You've also got to trust yourself. So you've got to say to yourself, right, well, do you know what? I trust myself that I'm not going to eat rubbish, or I'm not going to eat over the amount that I should do. And you've got to not worry about that. I think what happens is a lot of people tend to worry that they're going to eat badly over Christmas, or they're going to eat badly on this certain occasion, and then it's going to throw them off, and then they're going to go into a big downward spiral and put on loads of weight, etc., etc. And I know you guys worry about that. And in a way, you've just got to trust yourself that you're not going to do that. Like, a few of the, I mean, most of my guys now who I work with, because they eat so well, that now if they go on like an all-day binge, then they'll feel terrible after it, and they will feel really sort of, in a way, guilty, to be honest. Like, they've enjoyed themselves, obviously, but they'll feel guilty. And that, in a way, is good, because then it makes you think, oh, do you know what, I'm not going to do that again to myself. And then, obviously, that's what pushes you forward. And then gradually, as your food gets, your body gets used to good food, then it will start to reject the old food, and the not so good stuff. And then that way you build and you build and build, and you just get healthier and healthier naturally. But you've got to trust yourself and say, oh, do you know what? I'll know when the time's right for me to say no. And if it's in your mind that you think you are going to make a mistake and choose wrong things, then you're more likely to do it because you're consciously thinking about it. So put it to the back of your mind. Don't sort of think about it. And if you do fancy something, then have it, but just in moderation. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. And you've got to enjoy life a little bit now, because it's not a rehearsal. So in a way, guys, Christmas time is a time for enjoyment, and you've got to enjoy the food you're having. Like, I'm sure you guys are the same as me. Like, I love food, and if I want to have something at this time of year, which I wouldn't normally eat another time of year, then I'm going to allow myself to have it, because depriving myself of that is not, it's not like, well, it's hard to say, like, it's just not giving you the enjoyment that you should have. So, like, you shouldn't restrict yourself from anything. It's just everything in moderation. And then this is where we're talking about a lifestyle change. Okay, so going on to the actual food. So let's get into the core stuff now. Like, get your mindset sorted, and concentrate on this bit. So with the food, certain things to think about, okay, before we even go into the nutrition and stuff like that. How long are you going to allow yourself to enjoy Christmas? So how long does your Christmas last for you? A lot of people are viewing Christmas as a whole week's worth between Christmas Eve and like New Year's Eve. So that for them, their Christmas holidays expands from that time. But really, guys, Christmas is only one day, yeah? And for one day, yes, if you want to, you can allow yourself to have what you want. But at the same time, is that worth it? And can you give yourself, in a way, an allowance in terms of days or times that you're allowed to yourself to eat what you want to eat, which is perfectly fine. I mean, guys, if you want to like allow yourself to have whatever you want on Christmas Day, then cool. But in a way, how dedicated are you towards your goal? Like, maybe you'll just allow yourself to eat whatever you want at your main Christmas meal rather than the whole day. And obviously, that's going to help and take you further towards your goal a lot quicker than someone who's going to allow the whole day to sort of like throw them off. So it's just a case of how long you're going to allow your Christmas to last, and maybe that's something to think about before then. And maybe even if you draw yourself out like a timetable. I know that sounds a bit stupid, but like timetable of when you're going to allow stuff, when you're going to have cheat meals, and then the rest of the time you're going to stick on your good food. Do you really want it, or are you just eating for the sake of it? Is another thing. A lot of people tend to just like pig out on Christmas Day, which why not enjoy everything that you want, but have it in small portions? Like we tell you to eat little and often. If you say, okay, right, I'm going to let myself have the whole day off in terms of my diet, then why don't you just spread it throughout the day? For one, it's going to keep your sugar levels balanced. They're going to keep high, but they're going to keep balanced, which is what you want. And at the same time, you can enjoy everything. But why get that horrible bloated feeling that a lot of people get at the end of Christmas Day? And you got to think to yourself, are you just eating it because it's there? Or is it because you actually need it? And if you don't actually need it, then cut your portions down on each thing. And just allow yourself to have it over the course. I mean, in all honesty, guys, like if you're binging out on Christmas Day, then you're more likely to then binge again, if you like, on Boxing Day. But if you have little and often, but the bad stuff over the 2 days, then it would be a lot better for you, and it wouldn't put you in a position where you might put on more weight because of what you're doing. And this sort of leads on to how many courses. So, for instance, a lot of people will go out at this time of year and on social events, etc., etc. And you've got to think, do I need to have 3 courses in that meal, or am I satisfied with just having my main, or maybe a main and a starter, or a main and a dessert? Because at the end of the day, if you weren't out for that meal, then you'd be at home sitting there just having one plateful. I'm sure pretty much all of you don't cook yourself a 3-course meal for every night of the week. And you've just got to think, why are you putting yourself in this position? Just because it's celebrating and everyone else is doing it? And in that way, you've got to sort of take responsibility for your own actions, if you like. Obviously, guys, again, if you want it, then have it as a treat. If you do really want like that amount of food, then cool. But if not, then why? Why do that? And that's what you've got to ask yourself. And can you avoid bad foods in any way? So we're going to talk a little bit about that now, and go through how the body works in terms of food at this time of year, and what's the most beneficial way of doing it. And if there is bad foods that you can avoid, which most of the time there is, like if you're grabbing bad food all the time, and it's normally because there's an excuse there. Yeah, anyone can avoid bad food if they want to. If you're organised and you buy the right things and you've got the right, you go to the right places, anybody can avoid bad food. Again, it just depends how much you want it really, and you've got to think about that. So let's go on to how your body works. So in terms of what our food's made up of, guys, now there's 2 things that contribute to weight gain, and you guys that have listened to my other webinars before will know this, and I bang on about sugar quite a lot. But also we're going to talk a little bit about fat tonight, and how the 2 combined sort of give you a recipe for disaster, really. So sugar itself is our primary energy fuel. Our body uses everything. All our body processes are pretty much run by sugar now. But naturally our body prefers to run off fat, which is our secondary energy source. Now, problems with sugar is that it increases insulin. So every time you eat sugar, it increases your insulin, which gives you, which is your fat storage hormone. So when your insulin levels go up and the sugar comes in, that sugar, if you're not burning it off, then it's stored as fat. Now, I'm not going to go on too much about that tonight, because that's something I'm going to talk to you guys about in the new year on the new webinar. But obviously, if you guys have got any questions on that, then just ping me an email or something after this. Now, too much sugar imbalances our blood sugar levels, and that's what causes weight gain. And sugar gives you sugar highs, which makes you feel good and creates a craving as well. Now, fat is our secondary source of energy. It's our actual body's preferred source of energy, naturally. It's only because we have so much sugar in our diet now, and refined carbohydrate, that our body runs off sugar. But naturally it's normally fat. Now, fat doesn't cause you to gain weight, okay? From a health perspective, fat is bad, because in terms of building cholesterol and contributing towards heart disease, cardiovascular disease, things like that, then fat is not good for you, especially saturated fat. Your monohydrate, your mono saturated and polysaturated are the best for you. So they're your like omega-3, so your oils and your fish oil. But from a calorie perspective, now I don't like talking about calories too much because in all honesty, calories mean nothing as long as they're good calories and not bad calories. But fat has a higher calorific value than carbohydrate. So fat has 9 calories per 1 gram of fat, and sugar or carbohydrate only has 4 calories per 1 gram. Now, most fat sources also contain additives and preservatives. For instance, dairy, animal protein, on animal fat and protein obviously doesn't. But most dairy is highly processed and will have additives and preservatives and also added sugars in there as well. And toxins tend to be present in fat as well because it's easier for those sorts of things to bind to fat molecules. So that gets dragged in as well. So now, the problem here is, guys, when we think about foods that we're eating at this time of year, they all tend to be very high in sugar and high in fat. They don't tend to be one or the other, and because it tends to be sort of like pastry-based or dessert-based, or and you know, like the normal nibble foods and stuff, like all that sort of stuff has got high fat content because it's all packaged in processed foods. And sugar itself is obviously added to that to make it taste nice. And that's the problem. It's all convenience food at this time of year, which contains both sugar and fat. Now, your body itself actually likes to keep it simple, and it likes to run off either one or the other. For instance, some diets will cut out fat by quite a lot, and that's how diets allow you to lose, some diets allow you to lose weight, because obviously by cutting out the fat, you're cutting out the calories, because obviously remember, fat is 9 calories rather than sugar, which is 4 calories per gram. And that's how the basis of most commercial diets will work. That's how that works. But your body actually only likes one or the other. So in which case, what we need to do is we need to choose one or the other. So now, I'm not talking about your diet as a whole here. I'm talking about the individual foods that you choose to eat, or the individual meals that you choose to eat. So you need to choose one or the other, and try not to eat too many foods that combine both fat and sugar. And I'm going to tell you the reason behind that in a minute. But basically, what you're doing is that you're getting a hit from both angles. Okay, you're taking high amounts of calories in from the fat, but you're also getting insulin in from the sugar. And what it does is instead of the fat coming, just the sugar coming in and giving you an insulin boost, and then that sugar then being stored as fat, what happens is the added fat that you're having then drags that into that process. And for instance, you're almost getting double fat storage. And now, along with that, you're also dragging in the other not so good toxins and additives and preservatives that are in the food as well. So, for instance, colorings and things like that, which are then going to be stored in the fat cells along with the sugar and the fat that you're taking in together. And that's the problem here. So what you need to do is you need to choose one or the other in terms of your meals, because if you're having just sugar, then great, you're going to get like obviously having sugary foods or carbohydrate-based meals are easier, but the problem is you're still going to get the fat storage there. But if you choose fat and protein-based and sort of obviously vegetables on top of that as well, then you're going to get you're not going to get as much fat storage. But it's just when you combine the two that it's the problem. Guys, I just want to check that you're all following this, because nobody sort of sent me any questions or anything. So can you just stick your hands up if you can hear me? Cool. Fiona, good. Roxy and Wendy, can you hear me? Andrea, good. Good, hands going up. Cool. Good, and I'm going to put them down again. And guys, if you've got any questions quickly, then just type them out for me, because I can answer that. I just want to make sure that you guys get this. Okay, so what can you, okay, right, so Joe's, we're going on to that, Joe, we're going on to that. So Joe said, can you illustrate what you mean in terms of food and what sorts of foods are going to be sort of fat and sugar dense? So, we're going on to Joan. So, foods that contain high sugar and high fat. Okay, so these are the sorts of things that you're looking at, guys, in terms of the sorts of foods you've got to avoid. And do you know what? This isn't rocket science, and most of you know this. But for instance, things like pastry, confectionery, chocolate, desserts and confectionery and pastry are those sorts of things, guys, which are floating around all the time, like sweets on the table, etc., etc. Those are the things which you've got to stick away from. Dairy-based treats, so for instance, they are other forms which contain fat, because obviously dairy contains a lot of fat, and basted vegetables as well. This is a big one, guys. For your Christmas dinner, a lot of people tend to have roast potatoes and parsnips. Now, to improve on that, right, most people then, not improve, but you know what I mean, that they base them in certain fats, etc. Now, that is a bit of a recipe for disaster there in terms of flaws with stuff. So what's happening there is, if it's being based in goose fat, or for instance, even if you're using coconut oil or something, you're going to get the big sugar increase there. This is only really for potatoes and parsnips because they're the higher GI stuff. So you're better off to choose sweet potato to give you a lower sugar response, but also try and roast them another way, or use healthier fats if you can there, just because that fat is still going to be drawn in with that sugar response when you take them in. And that's something you want to try and minimize again. So I mean, with your Christmas dinner, like if you can just have, like, I don't know, green-based veg or carrots and stuff like that, rather than the potatoes and the parsnips, then cut them out. But if you want to put them in, then make a better choice. So one, don't cook them in like high saturated fat. So things like vegetable oil or butter, or as I said, goose fat or anything like that. Try and keep away from that stuff because it will line the outside and obviously get dragged into the cells and increase weight gain by quite considerable amount if you're having those sorts of things. And make better choices, so sweet potatoes, or maybe even like instead of having roasted parsnips that you buy like Aunt Bessie's in a packet or something like that, then do your own. And you can even like steam them and stuff. And guys, they taste almost like they taste exactly the same. They just haven't got the fat oozing out of them, which is obviously not good for you, and it's going to drag in there. Cakes and other baking things as well down the bottom there are the same sort of thing that are going to be dragged in there. Now, in terms of other stuff as well, guys, things like bread is also going to contain fat, especially sort of like the cheaper breads. They'll contain a lot of sugar and white flour, which is going to give you that insulin increase, but then it's also going to drag that fat and also the other additives and preservatives and stuff that you find in like normal commercial bread. So in which case, stick away from bread as well, guys. Bread is an absolute killer. That is the one thing, if I'd said to cut anything out, would be it. But in terms of foods with high sugar and high fat, you've also got to look at condiments as well. So a lot of sauces that are maybe cream-based will contain sugar and fat, especially if they're pre-made or pre-packaged. So that's another thing which is also going to add into the equation. So try and think about that as well. So what you need to choose more natural food alternatives if you can. Now, I know this is very hard at this time of year, and obviously you're going around and you're seeing friends and family, etc., and obviously it's a little bit out of your control. But if you can, you are cooking your own meals and stuff around Christmas, then try and choose natural food alternatives. So always choose fat over sugar as well. So for instance, if you go to, I don't know, a grill restaurant, if you like, where you can have steak, or they might do like a few pasta dishes of stuff as well, always choose the fat if you can over sugar. So you're better off going for a steak and vegetables, etc., rather than having a bowl of pasta, if you like, okay? Because fat, remember, doesn't cause you to gain weight. It's the sugar response which does. And if you can keep those sugars low while you're out eating, then that is the best thing for you. Do not try and mix the fat and the sugar together, because then that's when you're sort of like, you're on a hiding to none then, and really you're going to take a massive sort of hit in terms of the potential of putting on weight. So always try and choose fat and proteins over sugar if you can. Obviously, keep away from saturated fats. So keep to your white meats predominantly if you can. But obviously, again, if you're out and about and you've got to enjoy yourself, then have red meat and stuff. Just think about it. The thing you've got to think about again is the sugar, which is what I always say. Just think about what you're eating. You can look at a food and say, oh, do you know what? That's going to have bad stuff in it, or it's going to be not too bad for me. It's just using common sense, guys. But always choose fat over sugar. Check the labels, okay? If you're doing your shopping, does it contain more than 5 ingredients? If it contains more than 5 ingredients, or it says something on the packet that you don't realise what it is, then it's more than likely a additive or preservative or an added sugar. So in which case, keep away from it. Anything that ends in OSE, so O's, glucose, fructose, dextrose, sucrose, all that sort of stuff is all added sugar, guys. So look out for that stuff. And if it contains more than 5 ingredients, more than likely it's highly processed as well. So in which case it's going to have other nasties in there, and it's not going to be as nutritionally good for you, just because of the process it's had to go for. If you really get stuck with stuff, then this is the main thing as well. If you really get stuck, choose lower fat alternatives if the product also contains sugar. So for instance, normally I tell my guys to choose, for instance, full fat yogurt over low fat yogurt, simply because it doesn't have the sugar in it. Because what they tend to do is, if they're doing low fat, then they take the fat out, but to make it taste good, they pump it full of sugar. But if you really get stuck at this time of year, guys, and all the products you're having contain some sort of sugar in there, then go for the lower fat option, because from a calorie point of view, that fat that would normally be in there isn't going to be dragged into your cells and your system and then cause you to gain weight. You'd be better off taking a bigger sugar hit, if you like, than putting the extra fat into the equation as well. Now, I don't normally say that, but it's just at this time of year, because people's diet tends to be all over the place and tends to be very high sugar or carbohydrate dominant anyway. It's not going to make a difference. So in which case, you're better off cutting out the fat and the extra calories that way than the sugar. But as a general rule, always cut the sugar out and go for the high fat. It's almost like a little bit of swapping it around, just because of this time of year, just because the sugar is really unavoidable. So you just got to be a little bit more, instead of being sugar, sort of like sugar, what's the word? Sugar, looking out for it, if you like, looking out for the sugar, you just got to look out for the fat a little bit more, just because it will creep up on you. Everyone following this, guys, put your hands up for me again if you can all still hear me loud and clear. Carmel, good stuff. Fiona, good. Joe, good. Good. Cool. Good. Some of you have seen this one before. So this is a good one again for this time of year. Okay, this one's always a good one generally. So eat less crap. Okay, so carbonated drinks, refined sugars, artificial sweeteners, and processed foods. Those are the things you want to keep away from. Ignore the organic bit on the eat more food, because organic doesn't necessarily have any difference here or there as a whole, unless you're eating organic all of the time. But just increase your fruits and vegetables, organic lean protein, so things like your white meats, your fish, omega-3 fatty acids. So guys, around this time of year, there's loads of things like nuts and seeds and things like that about. Make use of that, and make sure you're getting those sorts of things in during the day, because those good fats are better for you than obviously the processed other stuff, which you might find in like little sausage rolls or mince pies or pastries or biscuits, etc., as well as the sugar. So things like nuts and seeds are great for you because they're high protein, good sources of fat, and remember, always choose the fat over the sugar. So in which case, that's another way you can make small changes. And drink more water, guys. A lot of people this time of year, because they're off work, they're not in the routine, so their water content and their hydration falls. And people tend to be drinking more alcohol and things like that as well. Make sure you keep your water high, because it will flush out those toxins and stop your body from absorbing as much of the bad fat in your food. Whereas other things like alcohol, especially if it contains sugar, which we're going to talk about in a bit, it's gonna drag that in as well. So drink more water if you can. And making better choices with your general everyday food. So some of you might be cooking at this time of year. So and the one thing you can do is use natural sweeteners such as Truvia or Stevia rather than sugar at this time of year. Replace the sugar kick food, so pastries and like confectionery, things like that, with fruit if you can. Drink lots of water, as I already said. Stay hydrated, flush that system through, stop so much of the bad stuff being absorbed. Snack on nuts and seeds. And don't buy what you don't need. Why go to, I see people do this all the time. They go to the supermarket to do their Christmas shopping, their food shop, and they buy stuff which they would never ever buy in a million years normally, but just for the sake of it's Christmas or it's on offer or something, they'll store it just in case somebody else is coming around. Don't presume that other people are going to come around and eat that stuff. Like, just shop for yourself still. And it's something that people, I think, have got to remember a little bit more. Like, it's your Christmas, so why buy stuff that you don't need or that is necessarily going to sit in the cupboards after Christmas time, and after that one day it's still going to be sitting there, and then it's going to be more temptation for you to grab. So don't overbuy things or buy stuff you wouldn't normally buy, guys, because it's mad, honestly. Like, all it's going to do is put yourself in a very difficult situation when after that one Christmas day is gone and all the food and stuff is still sitting there. And I know you don't want to run out on Christmas Day, but the chance of you running out on Christmas Day of food are pretty slim. So, like, just don't buy it. Just don't buy it. It will save you money, and it's going to save you time and effort and heartache afterwards if when it's laying around. And this is another thing. Eat more rather than less. Now, this goes for both good and bad food. Now, when I say eat more rather than less, I mean little and often, okay? It helps to maintain your blood sugar levels, okay, because you're keeping on a sugar constant high. You're always getting that food in, so it keeps your blood sugar levels on a nice level rather than going up and down. It keeps your metabolism burning, which means you're going to burn more calories, and obviously you've got more chance of losing weight then. Now, eating little and often, every 2 to 3 hours you should be, okay, and that's what's going to contribute towards that. Now, this next point, don't starve yourself all day so you can eat more later on. This is the one thing that everybody tends to do on Christmas Day. They know that later on in the day, sort of lunchtime, early afternoon, evening, etc., when they have their Christmas dinner, it's going to be a big lot of food. So what do? They don't eat anything all day. That is a big, big, big mistake, okay? Simply because your blood sugar levels are going to be really low when you first wake up in the morning, and they're going to keep decreasing throughout the day until you eat something. Now, what's going to happen is if you then have a big Christmas dinner and all the naughties and stuff that you shouldn't have later on, that's just going to give you a huge sugar high. Now, when you get a big sugar high, the bigger the sugar high, the more fat storage you get. So, what I would rather you do is even if it was, say, really, really bad food, you get up and you eat little and often of it. So you eat bad food every 2 to 3 hours rather than just eating big food for bad food for a big 2 hours in the afternoon, because that's just going to give you a massive sugar high, a massive insulin increase, and all that sugar that you've just taken in, or the food you've taken in, is just going to be stored. Because obviously very rarely people are out doing exercise on Christmas Day, and it's just going to sit on you. Honestly, so if you eat little and often throughout the day, even if it is bad, then it's going to be better for you than just having all of your stuff in one big hit from sort of like early afternoon into the evening. So make sure you do that. Keep to the general rules, and this is why. So this is you in the morning, okay? Your blood sugar levels are sort of like in the normal range or a little bit low. Now this is your normal up and down, okay? So what you're going up is you're going above your normal blood sugar level. So you say you eat, you have a big sugar high. Now if you imagine this first lot isn't here, this second lot isn't here. Now, and this first line, this sugar insulin, is starting here. All this is going to do is going to go across, and then it's going to gradually decline until you get to the early afternoon, and then suddenly you're going to have this big rise, okay, which is on this side. And then what that's going to do is it's going to give you that bigger sugar hit, okay? So not eating little and often causes sugar levels to go extra low, and this causes a bigger sugar and insulin response the next time you eat, which then leads to more fat storage, okay? So eat little and often rather than this. You want it to look like this, okay? Little and often with no refined sugar is going to keep you on a nice level, but even if you have got refined sugar in here and bad stuff, this sugar level is going to be the same sort of pattern going across, but it's just going to be slightly higher up on this graph, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Your blood sugar levels can sit wherever they want. Obviously, you're going to have you're going to be on a bit of a sugar high all the time, but you're better off keeping it up here and taking less of a sugar hit, and just constantly keeping it on that level rather than just having big spikes all of the time. Now, another big thing you need to watch is alcohol, and this is one thing that everybody gets caught out on, tends to have questions. If you don't drink, but for the benefit of everyone, alcohol, it tends to be something which makes up the other half of the hundreds and thousands of calories that everybody eats on Christmas Day, or across the Christmas New Year period. Now, this is the alcohol chat. So what happens is all alcohol will tend to contain sugar. It will contain sugar of some description. Now, alcohol is a toxin, and your body prioritizes burning off this toxin or getting rid of the toxin over sugar. And this is where the problem is. So this leads to greater fat storage, because as you drink alcohol, your body will try and burn off the alcohol. Now, while it's trying to burn off the alcohol, obviously that big insulin increase has come in, that big rushing blood sugar level has come in, and that is not being dealt with because your body's too busy getting rid of the alcohol out of your system first before it deals with the sugar. Now, what's going to happen therefore is that sugar is not going to be burnt off and used in the body. So what's it going to do? It's going to be stored as fat. And this is why people can put on weight quickly with alcohol, especially if they're drinking it often, and sort of in big binges as well. And it also puts stress on your body, which will make you crave more sugar, okay? Because alcohol is a toxin, then it will release cortisol in the body, which therefore causes you to crave more sugar. And again, this will keep you wanting more of the bad stuff across the Christmas period. Now, there is a hierarchy in terms of how alcohol works. There's different levels, if you like, of the amount of sugar that's in these. So now, remember what we were talking about earlier. High fat, high sugar things are not good for you because obviously that extra fat, calories from the fat gets dragged into the cells and you almost get double storage. Well, this is what you're looking at with cream-based liqueurs. They will have an awful lot of sugar in there, so things like Irish cream, Baileys, etc., etc. They are the worst for you because they will give you the sugar high, they'll give you the boost, but then they'll drag the extra fat in there from the dairy as well. So keep away from them. Highly, highly processed. Beer, wine, and cider are the next in terms of high sugar content. Okay, again, not good for toxins either because they contain sulfides and preservatives and things like that in there as well. Okay, some of you might be quite surprised with wine there, but this is purely because of the sugar content, guys. This list. So try and keep away from those as much as you can. Next one down is dark spirits and liqueurs, so things like whiskey, rum, brandy, that sort of stuff are the next. So anything dark in colour is the next one on the sugar hit. Okay, and then at the bottom you've got your white spirits, so things like vodka, gin, white rum, things like that, which actually don't contain very much sugar because they're all sort of like very filtered out. And obviously you've got quite a strong taste, and those tend to have around 50 calories a shot per 25 ml shot. I was about to say 125 ml there, but that's a big shot. So yeah, per 25 ml shot, each one of white spirits tends to have around 50 calories, where if you're looking at dark spirits, guys, you're probably looking at sort of double or triple that. And then obviously beer and wine tends to be in pints or cans or bottles, which obviously this is higher volume of higher sugar, so this is going to give you a bigger response. So if you don't mind drinking these sort of white spirit stuff and you do want to drink, they're the best to keep to, but otherwise that gives you a bit of a rough order in terms of what you should be prioritizing. So these ones,
drink more of, if you like, and then going less right the way up to your cream-based liqueurs. But again, guys, don't deprive yourself of anything. If you don't have Baileys like every month of the year, then why not like treat yourself? Do you know what I mean? Like, but everything in moderation. Mixers to go with these. So most spirits, obviously, people have mixers and stuff. Now, it all depends on what you're eating. So like I said earlier, you've got to choose whether you're going to this restaurant and whether you're going to have fat and protein based meal or whether you're going to have carbohydrate meal. So you've got to choose one or the other to minimize your chances of fat storage. You don't want that fat and sugar mixture in there. So it all depends on what you're eating. If you go out and you have a very carbohydrate or sugar based meal, then fine, yeah, you can get away with, you might as well treat yourself then, in all honesty. You might as well just have whatever alcohol you want to top that up, because it's not going to make no difference. But if you're going for the protein stuff, then you're better off choosing the lower calorie drinks or the lower sugar drinks. Now, obviously with mixers it tends to be high sugar, so things like normal sort of like Coke or Pepsi or lemonade versus Diet Pepsi, lemonade, etc., which all contain sweeteners and other nasty like artificial stuff in there. Now, it depends on what you're eating. So if you're eating fat and protein, I'd say, yeah, do you know what? Take a hit with the sweeteners at this time of year if you really need something in there. But if you're having carbohydrates, so pasta, meals, etc., like that, but white potatoes, etc., then you might as well have the other stuff if you want it. So really, that's your prerogative and your decision. Fruit juices will also give you a big sugar hit. So not great if you're choosing sort of high protein, fat, fiber stuff. But in terms of fruit juices, they are better for you, I would say, than obviously the processed sugary carbonated drinks. And in a way, they are probably a little bit better for you than the sweetener-based diet drinks as well, just because they tend to be sort of half natural, unless you get 100% squeezed juice. But again, guys, relate it to what you're eating. And then there is also good choices out there, so things like soda water, tonic water to an extent, some of them, cordials as well. So for instance, vodka, soda water and lime is a favourite amongst people that go out in our groups, just because obviously it's low calorie in the vodka, low sugar in the soda water, and you've got a little bit of flavour there in terms of your cordial. So I mean, they are better choices to make, but obviously it's up to you. Okay. So guys, I just want to check again that everybody can hear me. Just make sure you're all following, so stick them hands up again. Good. And any questions as well, guys? If you've got any, then just stick them in the box, because we're going to go on to more prepping for after Christmas now, rather than the other stuff. Cool. No questions coming through at the minute. Good. Oh, hang on. I've got one coming through. No. Okay, right, cool. So on this part, guys, so that in terms of what you've got to do for Christmas and your food, then there's some pointers and stuff that we've obviously just covered. Now, after that one day, which it is one day, it's then time to start thinking about a little bit for 2015. I know it's still way away and we've got to get Christmas out of the way, etc., but you need to get yourself in a place where you need to think about stuff, not necessarily do stuff yet, but just think about what you want. And I know there's a few of you guys that are on my program currently on this webinar, so this is for you as well. And we'll be doing planning sessions and stuff with you guys. But for the rest of you as well, you need to start thinking a little bit about what are your goals for 2015 and what do you want to achieve. So, for instance, is there a certain event you want to do? Is there a certain amount of weight you want to lose? Why do you want to lose that? Why is it important for you to get down to that stage? And it really sort of get your thinking caps on, and maybe even just map something out, guys, like a brief plan or something like that about what you're going to do to get yourself in the right state of mind for a fresh start. Now, in terms of things you can do straight away after that one day, and when you decide that you want to get back on the wagon, then the main thing for you to do is the food, okay? Because food drives everything. Food is 80% of your results. Exercise is 20% in terms of weight loss, and it's what you need to get sorted. Now, I know there's been. I'm gonna go on to a little bit about sugar again, and I know I've already mentioned sugar, but it is the key. Honestly, guys, you've got to take note of this stuff. But there's 5 things you must do as soon as that holiday period is out the way, okay? One is clear out your cupboards. For one, there shouldn't be rubbish in there because I've just told you not to go out and buy rubbish that you don't need. But make sure you clear out your cupboards. Have a fresh start. Go through, chuck out any old tins that still contain added sugar or foods that they're still lingering around from Christmas, anything like that. Make sure that you have all the good food that you need in the fridge to get yourself going. Start drinking more water again, because again, as I said earlier, people tend to forget this over the Christmas period. Water stops you from feeling hungry. It suppresses your appetite a little bit, flushes all the bad stuff out of your system that you're going to have consumed in your food over Christmas. So that's one of the key things to get in there, that you need to start almost like a detox process, and I'm going to be going through that on the next webinar that we do. You need to eat every 2 to 3 hours as well, so get that little one often in, but again, that's something you should be doing over Christmas, even if it is a little bit of the bad stuff sneaking in there. Keep that metabolism firing all of the time, and eat only natural and wholesome foods, which I mentioned earlier, but you need to get back to that. Less than 5 ingredients, nothing on the packet that you don't realize. So your key to success is knowing in 2015 what you are eating, and to take control of your sugar intake means you can take control of your weight. So to take control, you need to get rid of all refined sugar products in your cupboards. Okay, so over the Christmas period, sort through your cupboards, chuck all this stuff away. Anything that I said before that ends in O, so glucose, fructose, anything like that, glucose, fructose, corn syrup is another one that contains just anything where something begins like ends in OSE. Anything like that will be an added sugar. And start to replace your sugary stuff that's sitting in your cupboards with fruit and healthier options. Don't eat packeted foods either. Keep away from pre-packed meals, and keep away from the low fat. Yeah, this is now the time when you've got to reverse and stop thinking about whether you're going to feed yourself sugar or whether you're going to feed yourself fat and protein. You've got to keep away from the low fat when you come back in, because come January and resetting everything, it's all about resetting your sugar levels after the aftermath of Christmas, if you like. Keep away from processed foods, so pastas, potatoes, breads, things like that. Not too much of that stuff, and if you are having that stuff, keep away from the white the white grain or the white flour product. So stick to things like brown rice, sweet potato, whole grains, etc., etc. Keep those sugars low and balanced, like we talked about earlier. Replace your sugary foods with fresh fruit and vegetables, water or fruit teas, nuts and seeds, sweet potatoes, gluten-free options if you can. Gluten-free isn't a massive thing, guys. I'd rather you eat low sugar stuff, so your whole grains, rather than gluten-free options which are white, because it's all about the sugar. And this again is the prep bit for 2015. What do you want to achieve in 2015? Why do you want to achieve it? How much do you want to lose in your first 30 days? Your first 30 days is key for you when you start your weight loss campaign next year. It's going to give you the boost that you need. If you can set a realistic goal and a realistic target for January, for the end of January 2015, then you will immediately get yourself in a place of confidence where you know that you can do it, and it takes 30 days to make a habit, guys. So when you reset yourself and choose the diet that's best for you, then not a diet, eating, lifestyle change, not diet. Diets are temporary, but your first 30 days is key. So how will you reward yourself as well for your good stuff? So how are you going to reward yourself after that 30 days once you reach your target? That's something you need to think about as well. You need to have an extrinsic motivator for that, and also, if you can, surround yourself with people around you which are doing the same thing or following the same thing, or that can keep you accountable. So they keep you on track and say to you, oh, have you done this? Have you been eating that? Write down a food diary for me. I want to check it every week. That's what we do with our guys. So think about that. And you've also got to think about over Christmas, what is the best way for you? Is going down, say, a program route with us the right sort of thing? Getting back to natural, healthy foods and exercise, etc. Or is something else better for you? Do you not have a lot of time, so you might need to join a local slimming club or something like that? That everybody's different and everybody's bodies work different, but all I say is, guys, choose something which is maintainable and that's going to last for 2015. Don't choose something which is just going to last for January, and it's a bit of a fad or something like that, like these shake and bar diets and all that sort of rubbish. Don't do it yourself. Set yourself up properly, get yourself in the right headspace, and really think about what you want and start to plan. And these are the sorts of results you could get. So, for instance, Sinead in one of our group lost over 1.5 stone in just 5 weeks. More energy, feels great in herself. Lynn, the first 4 weeks on the program, she lost 1 stone, and then consecutive weigh-ins of -5, -4, -4 pounds each week. And Lynn didn't even do any exercise with that, so the diet for her just sort of like grabbed on with her with sort of like 2 hands and really carried her results. Exercise as well. What are you going to start putting in the new year in terms of exercise? Massive example there of how exercise can change you, not necessarily all about weight, guys. Gemma there done the Brighton half marathon last year from one of our groups. Hasn't lost a lot of weight, probably only lost about 1.5 stone, 2 stone over the course of around 6 months. But again, the fitness was huge, and as you can see, the results there in terms of clothes size is huge. And Jane as well, so 2.5 stone in 3 months, which again is very good weight loss. Started doing other things now, so boot camp, other little competitions as well, and races that Jane's now entering. And 1 year on, Jane lost 4.5 stone, so that was her sitting in the same position as you guys now. And I mean, over the course of a year and 6 months, she's actually lost sort of like nearer 5.5, 6 stone. So that's the sort of things you can achieve, guys. And, I mean, if you really put your mind to it, I mean, everybody's different. You can achieve more than that. It's just a case of getting yourself sorted and yourself in the right mindset and ready to do this stuff. So, I want to go on to, we're going to do questions at the end, guys. So if you've got any questions, then have a think about it or write it down from what we've covered tonight. We're in like another 5-10 minutes. For you guys that don't know about this already and haven't seen stuff on Facebook, then I just want to take this opportunity to mention something that we are really excited about here. We are going to be running our first 4-day weight loss retreat in February 2015. Now it's going to be a fully inclusive program. All your accommodation, food is all included. And this is for you if you've had enough of the yo-yo dieting and putting it all back on again. There's actually a few people on this webinar that are actually registered for this and have already signed up for the retreat, having listened to our last webinar that we've done, which is great. And everyone's really excited about it. Do you lack the motivation and drive to do it alone? Do you struggle to stay on track? A lot of people do. We want to give you the tools and help you with that. Do you want to make a permanent lifestyle change and lose weight for good? Do you want to change your own and other people's lives around you for your children, family, and friends? Guys, we were talking about motivators earlier and what motivates you to do this and get yourself in the right position to do this in the right mindset. A lot of people are motivated by changing for their kids or sort of other friends and family and even for themselves. You've got to do it for yourselves, guys, as well. And it's putting yourself in that mindset where nothing's going to stop you from doing that. But I mean, obviously, you need a bit of help along the way, and that's why we're here. But yeah, I mean, think about that one, guys. How would changing your eating habits and changing your weight and losing weight affect you, but also other people's around you? Would it get them eating healthier? etc. A lot of the guys that are on our program, when they start eating healthy, their kids start eating healthy, and then as a result of that, everybody has a knock-on effect to everybody else, and everybody does it together. And we're not just talking about weight loss here; we're talking about general health as well. And obviously, eating a diet that's good in good in nutrient-rich food, so fruit, vegetables, good meats, good fats, is good for anyone. Now, we'd like to obviously welcome you to this first four-day residential weight loss retreat in wonderful Hertfordshire countryside. So this is going to benefit people who need to learn what foods they should be eating and how different foods react in your body and how and why that causes you to gain weight. We teach you all of that stuff. How to get people that need to get away into their own neutral space and think about and focus on themselves, about what they want to do in terms of their weight loss, where they want to go, and get everything mapped out for that and the support that they need. And obviously, over the period of that weekend as well, you also get to relax and meet others who are just like you and who are facing exactly the same struggles. And another reason why our program drives forward and everybody does so well is because everybody sticks together and everybody bounces ideas off each other. We have private Facebook groups and things like that where everybody shares recipes, and it's very much a family community, and it's getting support of other people. It's a very hard task and journey doing it on your own, and a lot of people are a little bit ashamed to get help, but when you get help and you work together on this sort of stuff, that's when you get the real results. So what's included in the 4 days? You get a fully residential retreat, okay, fully catered for luxury single occupancy accommodation, so you're all in your own space, etc. Daily nutritional coaching and seminar sessions. We have some fantastic guests come in. I will be obviously taking a lot of your nutritional sessions, but there's also going to be other guys there like real food experts. We've got a couple of really special guests, motivational guests, and people that have lost an awful lot of weight in the past to share their experiences with you. We've got chefs coming in to talk to you about how different foods complement each other and how to spice up your cooking and things like that. Obviously, guys, we've got everything covered, even down to sort of medical guys who are coming to talk about gut health and how food impacts that, and hormones and thyroid issues and all of that sort of stuff. We covered a lot. We're also getting you involved in practical weight loss workshops and sessions, and obviously mindset and motivational sessions as well. Psychologists taking those sort of sessions as well. If you need a bit of one-to-one time, we can offer you that in terms of one-to-one coaching sessions, exercise, and for sort of more deeper psychological stuff as well. And obviously you'll have a daily exercise program in there as well, so there'll be like boot camp style sessions, exercise classes and stuff for you to get active and obviously lose a bit of weight over that 4 days as well. And I mean, you'll be pretty astounded on how much you can lose in 4 days, obviously when we are doing all your food and stuff for you. And also, guys, the key thing here is we're going to do a personalised weight loss plan for you as well on the last day. So we will literally get a big sheet of paper and we will map out a whole year's worth of planning for you, right down to what you're going to do in the next 30 days after you leave the retreat to get yourself going on that. And then we'll set 3-month targets, 6-month targets, etc., etc. And what we're going to do is we're going to support you with that. So you get access to all of our materials as well, online and offline after the day, and we also get up to 12 months. It's a 6 months here, but we're actually giving you 12 months ongoing support and coaching after that intensive retreat in the same cost of that. So I mean, you'll get one-to-one coaching calls with myself and also my team over that for up to 3 months afterwards, but also you get access to all of our private groups and coaching as well. Now, a lot of you will be asking how much the price is. Now, this is what the normal breakdown of all the stuff that we're giving you over that 4 days is. So accommodation and food, nutritional coaching sessions, etc., etc. All of that stuff you can see on there, and obviously you can see that that is a ridiculous amount to charge you. I mean, we pride ourselves on giving you affordable access to coaching programs and help. Now, in terms of what we're doing is we're doing a special webinar price within 7 days of this webinar ending. If this is something you think will interest you and it's something you might want to do, then the retreat is $499 if you want to sign up within 7 days. If not, then it's a normal price of $600, and we've got various payment plans for that as well in place, which are the following there. So, I mean, that's how we can split up in terms of the payments. But if you need it over a longer period of time, and you really want to come along, and you think you can't afford it at the minute, then we can really help you with that and split payments up over a longer period of time, obviously. With the added coaching you get on there as well. But there is only 20 places available. We've had a lot of interest on this already since our last webinar in November, and the spaces are filling up quick. So in which case, if you are interested, then guys, follow the links that I'm going to give you in a second. But first of all, what are the benefits of being in a neutral space? So it's to get away from the distractions and negativity you might have around you. People always telling you, you need to do this, you need to do that, or maybe you're not getting on with your current diet, and you just need to focus on you for once to get yourself right in the right place and set yourself up for this journey that you're putting yourself on. Surround yourself with other people who are just like you. Trust me, you're not the only one with the problems you are facing. Everybody that I talk to on the phone, whether they're inquiring about one of our group programs or a one-to-one program, etc., everybody has the same sort of problems, and you are not the only one. Everybody's in this together, and if you work as a team and work with us and our team, we will drive you to where you want to be. You get a chance to immerse yourself in an environment of positivity and non-judgmental thought, and obviously we are there to help you as much as we can. You have access to me, my team, all the guest speakers whenever you want to ask private questions or guidance 24/7. So if you need us, then we are there to help you, and it obviously gives you a chance to learn what works, why it works, and how different foods react and stuff in your body. So then you can go away and implement exactly what we tell you, because there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and I think a lot of people get confused all the time about what's right, what works, what doesn't, and we really want to set you straight on that stuff, so you almost become the expert and you know as much as we do about food and exercise, etc. And then from there you can build. And it gives you a chance to concentrate on what you have to do to change your life, and that of other people's around you, and really get in the zone. So you also get the aftercare package as well, so we know exactly what you guys struggle with, and most of the time it is motivation and accountability. Keeping you on track, having someone there to talk to ask questions to all of the time, and obviously that's very hard to find in everyday life. And our specialist aftercare package includes coaching calls, access to all our online materials, accountability groups on Facebook. We really want to keep you involved over that 12 months afterwards, and that is something that we will endeavour to do and be there for you for 12 months after you've done this retreat. So just to recap, guys, really quickly, I'm going to wrap up, but give you time to ask questions in a second. That's for the breakdown, okay, of what it would normally cost for this retreat, and obviously we're giving you it for $499 if you inquire to us within 7 days after this webinar. Now, if you apply within 72 hours, that's meant to be 7 days, not 72 hours. That was from our last session. Then obviously we will get back to you as soon as we can within the 72 hours. But if you want more details or you are interested in the retreat, then go on to savemylifeprogram.com/weight loss retreat, and then you can fill in your application there. Everything is by application only. We will assess your application, and then we will give you a call to find out some more details from you and tell you whether we think this is right for you or not. If we think that you're not in the right place to do the retreat, or we think it's not going to aid you, then we'll tell you so, because obviously we don't want to waste your time and money if we think that it's not going to help you. And that's what the page looks like, guys. So just you can go onto there. There's more details about exactly what you get with the retreat and everything on there. So you can find all the details on there. If you think over to you, then just fill in the application form at the bottom of the page, and we'll be in contact with you within 48 hours of getting your application. And this is the sort of results that you could get. For instance, Sam, 2 years she's been working with me, lost 11 stone. Darren, obviously that I've done the Sky program with, 10 stone in 8 months. He was on a bit more of an intense program, but it's perfectly possible. Kerry, 6 stone in 24 weeks, again phenomenal. Sarah, 6.5 stone in 12 months. That could be you after doing the retreat and then getting that 12-month support afterwards. So here's the link one more time. You can click on it live there, guys, or if not, I'll give you a minute to write that down. Okay. And if you want to know any more information, then you can find us and learn more at SaveMyLifeProgram.com or visit our Facebook page, Facebook.com/SaveMyLifeProgram.com, and we're going to be uploading a lot of content over there over the Christmas period to help you guys stay on track after this webinar as well, further hints and tips, etc., etc. There's going to be a video posted on there every day to do with different things that you can make healthier choices on over the Christmas period, or if you need extra help or anything like that, then just message us on there. You can also check out our live blogs. They've been a little bit quiet for the last few weeks, if I'm honest, because it's been a bit difficult time for a few of our guys. But Mandeep especially is going to be updating his progress over the Christmas period to tell you how he's keeping on track, and obviously not, or enjoying himself, which he's not going to be doing too much of because he has got a target to hit at the end of January. He has got to lose 2.5 stone by the end of January, and he won't mind me telling you that because it keeps him accountable, but he'll be updating all his stuff on there as well over the Christmas period to help you guys out as well. Okay, guys, so that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great Christmas. If you've got any questions, then fire them over to me now. If not, then you can send me any further questions you may have to info@SaveMyLifeProgram.com. So that's info@SaveMyLifeProgram.com, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So, guys, I'll leave this running for another minute or so, another couple of minutes to see if you guys need to send me any questions over, and then hopefully I'll speak to you guys in the new year. And watch out for our new webinar that we'll be running sort of like the first or second weekend in January, to really help you guys kickstart your weight loss back in the new year. But until then, guys, have a great Christmas.